Pope Francis is making headlines as he travels across the country. Today, he's scheduled to meet with Catholic youths in the city of Daejeon. For more insight into his trip, we're now joined by Father Donal O'Keefe, Regional Director of the Columban Fathers in Korea, a missions group that has been working in the country for the last 80 years. Good morning, Father. Thank you for joining us this morning. Now, the Pope is expected to attend the Asian Youth Day in Daejeon, where thousands of young Catholics are expected to attend from Asia, also in Korea. Why the emphasis on Catholic youths?
Well, this is the Asian Youth Meeting. You may recall that 2 years ago, there was the World Youth Meeting in Brazil, where the Pope went. And I think he found the experiencing there very, very enriching. And the impact on the youth, in fact, was something to be seen. But particularly Asia, like Asia is the continent with huge diversity. It's the continent at the moment with huge energy. It's where the major part of the world's population is living. And I think he sees it as an occasion, bring all these young people together and inspire them to seek what is common, in their diverse heritages, so they can work together for a more human world,
Does this have anything to do with the decreasing number of Catholic followers to just boost maybe some breathe life into that demographics, maybe too?
Well, some people may interpret it as that, but I think the Pope has very little interest in statistics. He said recently the whole thing of proselytizing is not the way to go. He says, the way for religions to go is to attract by witness. So from his perspective, if people live the message and people are attracted, that's good. And if they're not, that's fine too. His basic tenet is live and let live.
Live and let live.
Yes.
That is one message right there.
Well,
now, one of the highlights of his trip this time is, of course, the beatification of Korean martyrs that is expected to take place on Saturday. For us regular folks, we're not very familiar with the process of beatification. Tell us in maybe just in simple words what that process really involves, and also the significance of this event being held right here in Korea.
The word martyr, I think, basically means witness, people who have given their lives for the faith. Now, a thing of particular interest, I think, to Francis, since he's become Pope, is the practice of Christianity rather than the theological, niceties. And everything he has done so far has been, very spontaneous, practical gestures, but this is what it's about. So for him to come to Korea, and he's highlighting the fact that in Korean tradition, there were so many people actually lived the message and gave their lives for it, I think it's that, living it and giving their lives. It's not so much he's focusing on the past, but he's holding this up as an example to the church today here. You have this heritage, do the same in your generation, give your life. You may not have to give it by spilling blood, but in the way you live with your neighbor, in the way you live with your family, in the way you treat people who are close to you, in the way you're concerned for the poor in society. Give your life, live your values. Now, I think that's the core of his message.
The Pope is expected to meet with the underprivileged, the less fortunate, as well as the victims and the surviving families of the Seoul ferry tragedy that killed some 300 people right here in Korea. Now, what kind of message does this deliver to the people, and what is the Pope trying to deliver?
I think the message of the Pope, from the very beginning is this thing of reaching out, being concerned with people, loving people. And I think his reading of that accident, the Seoul ferry accident. And I think all analysis is all pointing to the same thing, is that people were put second. What was the most important item was profit, and rules were ignored, regulations were not observed. And the lives of the young people, on that ferry were absolutely, they were sacrificed basically to the god of Mammon. And one of his first public writings, Pope Francis has actually talked about the new god of the marketplace, where young people and people in all countries are being sacrificed. So I think his message is going to be reflect on this, put people first.
Yes, this Seoul incident has been a politically very divisive issue, and not only the Seoul ferry incident, but a lot of ideologies are clashing, and lots of division and unrest in this country at the moment. Now, do you think the Pope's visit will serve as an opportunity to bring the country together and look at each other and try to forgive and love each other a little more?
I would hope so. I think, like the message of Francis, which I think is the message of the gospel, is, like that the person is sacred. And all people, they're infinitely more important than any political ideology, than any economic system, than any religion, for that matter. So just to see the other person as someone unique and sacred, and work from that.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Father, for joining us and giving us this insight that was really helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me.